this one, and there we go. Alright, if I bump that down here, we are now officially good to go. Only 5 minutes late to qualified. 4.5. It wasn't too bad. Hello everybody, and welcome finally to LRC. I am back in the commentary box once again with an absolute clang. You love to see it. I'm incredibly rusty here. Haven't been up here in quite some time, but here we are now. And yeah, if you did forget in the intervening time, my name is Koolest, and a little bit later on in this session, I will be joined in the commentary box by the Ferrari team principal Sbinotto, hopefully. All being well, he should be racing up to the commentary box as we speak, so hopefully he is able to make it in time. But in the meantime, we do have qualifying, as you can see, already well underway on the track here in Melbourne, which is actually not raining, unlike it was in real life, because we had an interesting situation wherein the game, surprisingly, was not very good, and we had to change the weather only a day or two before the race actually took place, I believe. So yeah, the drivers might be a little bit short on practice in the dry conditions. We were expecting it to be wet for quite a while, but yeah, that had to be changed at the last minute due to, I believe, some tyre overheating or something of that like that was going to make the race almost impossible for these guys. So we are underway now. Despite many a difficulty on both both the game's end and on my end, unfortunately. I sincerely apologise for that, but hopefully everything is now going to be up and running fairly smoothly from here on out. And yeah, like I say, should have a second commentator joining us a little bit later on in the day. But in the meantime, what is going on the track? Well, we have the McLaren of Paul Diver, who's been pretty strong this season, and I believe is still second in the standings, or at least should be in the top three. Is currently leading the timesheets, obviously. Elias, as usual, is not out of the pits just yet, and he likes to leave his laps towards the end of the session. So we'll still await to see what he can do, but Paul Diver has just improved his time even further into the 1 minute 15s, so a nice start to the qualifying session for him, and especially for Perhaps, who's currently up in P2. Although I have to say, there are quite a lot of guys who I think can go a lot quicker, one of them being Loris, who has just dethroned his teammate for provisional pole position. And you will have to excuse me whilst I am the sole commentator. I will need to take a couple of breaks to get a cough out and get a sip of water in, so yeah, hopefully we'll be able to find a rhythm nonetheless, as I have to get used to using all of these pesky camera controls and seeing how to actually switch cars efficiently. So it seems like we do have, there we go, not too bad after all. We do have Trimashave about to finish a lap by the looks of things here. We can ride on board with the Bulgarian drivers. He makes his way out of turn 14 here, deploying battery all the way to the line. He's not been using particularly efficiently, still has a good 25 or 30% left in the tank as he crosses the strike, and he is going to be still in P11, make that now P12, after a couple of drivers have just improved ahead of him. I believe it was Zux and, oh sorry, Pocky Lima, one of the guys crossing the line, and now, finally, Elias is out of the pits, onto the track, and immediately into P1. I don't believe he and Aero did any kind of tow there, but they did both set their times in quick succession, so Ferrari will sandwich the McLarens as things stand. Obviously, this is now Aero's first official race back for Ferrari, I believe, since Season 4 or potentially 5. I don't exactly remember, but first time he's been back with them in the driver's seat in quite some time, so nice to have him back in the series, and immediately, with his new wheel, he does seem to be doing pretty well, as, yeah, I guess he's just going to be towing Elias on his inlet now. And, yeah, my throat is already struggling here. I apologise for that. But I believe we're going to be getting into a bit of a cooler part of the session now, as I don't think anybody else is currently on a lap. I think most people have just finished their laps. Kateshi might just be starting. He's reserving for Alpine today. We do have a couple of reserves. Well, we also have Elish, also known as Zach. I believe this is his debut for VCAB. I think it's the first time he's actually been able to attend for them, replacing yours truly after I retired a little bit earlier in the season, and he has retired from the session, which is not ideal, considering he's currently only down in P13, so I wonder if perhaps he might have had some issues with getting disconnected and then retired from the session. We have seen that far too many times this season already, and I'm not sure if that is what has happened here, but it would certainly be an unfortunate fate if that is what has caused the RC to be out of his home qualifying session actually already. So yeah, it's going to be a storyline to keep an eye on, as we now have, I believe that it's Phil, coming to the final sector to, I believe he's on a lap, yes he is, by the looks of the battery deployment, and going full speed out of the final corner and up the line, currently P10. Can he improve? Yes he can, and he jumps up to P7, but still, behind what is looking increasingly like quite a solid lap time from perhaps in the Kick Sauber, actually currently ahead of his teammate I Like Trains, so yeah, we never really know what to expect with perhaps. It seems like when he does actually decide to try, he can actually be a very quick driver, but other times he can be a prime finish terrorist. So, by the looks of things, we do seem to have gotten the better side of him so far today, as Kateshi is now going to... Oh, sorry, no, it's the other Alpine Thresh going back into the pits. And hey, look at that! Looks like we have ourselves a co-commentator. Welcome in, Sbinotto. Do you have everything?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I have everything on. I can see the stream. Yes, hello.
Very nice.
Good to be back after a few races. I remember we did Las Vegas with Aero. That was a fun race. So I'm hoping that we'll have another fun race, as the real one that happened today in Australia was pretty eventful. So no rain today, I don't think so, but a few quick times, as I'm seeing just right now after having joined in the last 10 seconds.
Yes, as usual, your driver Elias is up at the top of the timesheets, but not too far clear this time, at least as things stand. Only 4/10 ahead of Kiziel, so I don't think this is one of Elias's strongest tracks, but he usually tends to go quite well around here, so I reckon he might still have some time left to find in the tank, as Loris has invalidated one of his laps here, so true Loris form kicking in already, and Paul Diver is going to be making his way around this very fast and very challenging final corner here. Using battery all the way up to the line, he's managed it very nicely, and he's going to use it to get ahead of his teammate into P3.
Yeah, obviously, as I am the Ferrari team principal, I am kind of biased towards the Ferrari drivers, but for the sake of the commentary, it will be a level playing field for me. I think Elias is going to be Elias and Aero. That, funnily enough, what a great pairing, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to remain level-headed, and as we see, Igzys right now, 12th in the Williams, eager to improve his time. Oh wow! Just as I say that, commentator's curse coming in there for Igzys, locking up the front right there.
And he is now backed off of his lap.
Yeah, and I mean, I think some of the cars are going to be going back into the pits for the next few minutes, but the two Saubers are out on track. I Like Trains. Usually, we seem a bit faster, but I mean, some of the drivers get influenced by the track. I mean, some tracks suit them better than others, and I think it's just a matter of the track for I Like Trains for now, as he usually is about the top 5 in some of the races that I've seen him be in, but yeah, he's improving his time, and maybe he's going to improve that spot from P9 to somewhere up around the top 5.
We will indeed have to wait and see with that. Something else that I noticed is the Thresh seems to have been the second victim of the old disconnect and retirement glitch before he's even been able to set competitive time, so that is a big shame for the American, and that does mean he's going to be going to be having it all to do once we get onto the grid, as Trains makes a big old mistake absolutely, well, just makes a real mess of things there coming through turn 11, and that is going to put him under quite a bit of pressure now to improve come the end of the session. Due to the permanent yellow flags, we're not able to see how long's left. There we go. 4 minutes and 15 seconds. He's going to get back into the pits, I would assume. Yes, he is. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit tight on time for him. I think he will be able to get back out, but yeah, pressure is going to be on, as Igzys now seems to be back on a second attempt at a lap, trying to make amends at turn 3, and he's going to do so successfully this time. Obviously, this is one of the men who's usually up in the commentary box here. He's swapped the microphone for the steering wheel this week and is going to be chucking said wheel into turn 6. Very high speed corner there, but he negotiates it nicely. Can be tricky on track limits, and I expect you might see 1 or 2 warnings there later in the race, as we also have Pole Diver crashed on the pit lane entry there as he makes his way back into the pits, which is a very bizarre one. Not entirely sure what happened to him, might have to find out after the race, but all the while, Igzys still on a flying lap here. Navigated turns 9 and 10 quite nicely, now down towards turn 11. This is where it all unravelled for I Like Trains just a lap ago, but Igzys shows him how it's done nicely there. Through turn 12 now, and heavy braking into turn 13, locking the inside left a little bit there, sliding the rears on exit. It's a super tricky traction zone this one, and Igzys coming a cropper a little bit there, but he is going to continue on towards the line. He's going to not improve on his time, he's a 10th down.
Yeah, I'd like to say the commentator's curse hits I Like Trains just as it did Igzys last lap. I mean, I talked about him improving his time to a top 5, and he spins out and almost hits the wall, and he retires from the session. And so I'm sorry, Trains, for saying anything. Oh, and yeah, and Igzys, what the hell is going on? I shouldn't say anything about the drivers today, because holy crap.
Seems like you've taken over my role from years gone by of just cursing everyone I look at. I'll see how that continues on today, but I do believe Igzys is just going to be on its way back to the pits now. There's no way to be able to go for 2 laps in a row with the tyre temperatures here, so yeah, we're going to be in the final few moments of calm before the storm here. Before everybody gets underway, you can see the slew of cars making their way onto the track on the track map in the bottom right, as we'll now leave Igzys be as he returns to the box. He's going to be P12 at best in this qualifying session, unless he somehow has enough tyres and fuel to go for another run, which I would highly doubt at this stage. But it does look like it's going to be your boy Sbinotto as the first 2 cars to set a lap at the end of the session. So Era's going to be up first. You wanna walk us through the lap and give some thoughts on how your drivers are getting on?
Well, usually throughout the season, I think the Ferrari team has got on perfectly well. We've managed things really well. This is some insight that's just coming from my side as a team principal. But I think we've managed most of the races really well. I remember in Barcelona, I was rooting for Elias to, in that crazy 5 laps where the top 5 was shuffling about in the last few laps. I was rooting for my driver Elias. You can see he's top of the timing sheet.
But I think, grabs the curb.
Just as I say that, come on. But yeah, anyway. I think we have a strong pairing, and I think Elias can mount another. Oh, he's going slow. Oh, you landed. Oh my god!
Your driver's a bottle in it.
Yeah.
Arrow's still going on. Never mind. No, it's not.
Oh my god. Okay,
it's falling apart.
I think they're gonna try to. Yeah, they're gonna try to make a round for another, try. But yeah, I mean, like, what can I say? I keep cursing everybody. Maybe you should take over.
Yeah, it's capitulation on the biggest stage for Ferrari, just like in real life here, trying to be an ode to the drivers gone by earlier on in the day. And I think Elias is not going to have time to make it to the flag here. There's only 11 seconds left, so, well, I mean, it's going to be close. Is he going to stay out? He is, so he's going to give it a try. 5 seconds to go as he comes out of the final corner. Is he even going to make it to the line? 1 second on the clock. No, Elias has missed his chance to set another lap in the qualifying session, so if anyone can find 0.4 of a second or more, they might just be able to topple him and steal his qualifying crown for this week at least. Kiesiel is probably going to be the most likely one to do that, as his teammate Hypeswolf is going to cross the line only P13 for Reese. That is not great for him. Zoxen secures himself in P9 for the time being. Phil gets up to P6, but what can Kiesiel do? Deploying his battery all the way to the line. Is it going to be enough? No, it is not. Improves by 1/10 of a second, but it's nowhere near enough to challenge Elias, so going to be down to the 2 McLarens here, unless Aero can produce an absolute lap of the gods at the end. But, well, I mean, you can see both of them on our screens at the moment. Aero is actually giving a beautiful tow to Pole Diver. Loris has already crossed the line. He got much closer to Elias, but still not close enough to topple the Sakiri Goat, that is the number 7 driver. But what about one of these two? Pole Diver and Aero coming through the final 2 corners in unison here. Both of them are going to make it all the way to the flag. And Aero
And
trying
Pulldiver
to
gets a
break the
toe
toe.
as well.
And Pulldiver does improve up
Oh
to
my
third,
god,
but
he
it's
does
not
improve.
enough.
Oh my god, it's almost like a race back there. Like the Pulldiver was gaining on Aero at the end, but in those final corners, it's still Elias with Loris only a 2/10 gap. Elias Loris, which is, the pace is going to be quite similar when we look towards the race, but you can see basically the feedback towards the bottom six, towards the from sixth onwards, where yeah, the cap is a second or more. So let's see what happens in the race. It should be a mixed up field.
Yep. But not have too long to wait and see. I will mention you have just started to lag a little bit, Spinotto, so hopefully that's not gonna be
Oh,
too much of an issue. I don't know if there's anything you can do about that, but yeah. We'll press on for the time being, and yeah, I think next order of the day is going to be finding out what kind of strategies everyone is looking at. So, have you had any discussions with your drivers about what your approach might be for this race?
I mean, as it is for any race, it's probably going to be hard medium, probably the strategy, or medium hard, or if anyone's willing to risk it, maybe softs sometime in the race. But I mean, I think they're gonna go with the tried and safe approach, which is gonna be probably the hard medium. But I mean, some of the drivers might shuffle it up. But I don't see any of them taking that much of a risk when it comes to this race. Also, I'm gonna restart my connection
All right.
so that I don't lag that much.
Right, I'll take over for the time being. You can let me know when you're back. But yeah, we have, as usual, Elias, despite messing up his final lap of qualifying, is still going to be rewarded with pole position for his first lap of the session over the two McLaren drivers in second and third. I think they are going to be very feisty here, trying to take any chance that they can get to dethrone the king, as it were. And we know how aggressive both Loris and Poldiver can be in these races. So, with the DRS train that is almost guaranteed to form here, I think we can expect a race that might just go right the way down to the wire, failing any kind of incidents up at the front of the field. I think should be pretty entertaining stuff here, and Kiesel will be, I'm sure, looking to get in on that action as well. Aero in P5, just like where he was, or roughly where he was this time last week in Qatar. Now he has points to score, so every position will be counting for him, and will be very interesting to see if he can do any better than Lewis was able to do on his Ferrari debut. Once we get things underway here today, Phil's going to be in sixth, another strong but consistent performance for him, with Lima actually getting quite a surprisingly good qualifying result, at least from the time that I was racing with him. I'm not sure if he's made any improvements in recent weeks, but either way, I think he'll be pretty pleased with that. We'll see if he's able to convert that into some solid points for Mercedes, as his teammate Zoxen is also up there in P9, with perhaps after his strong pace early on in qualifying session, dropping back just a little bit to P8 in the Kicksauber. And then it's going to be Kateshi on his, I believe, his return race to LRC. Only reserving for Alpine today, but still getting himself into the top 10, showing that he hasn't lost anything just yet. With Trains in 11th, one of currently only two drivers on the hard tyres. So Trains and Aero on the hards, two drivers who have worked together plenty before. Aero has engineered Trains many a time during the F2 competition and even during a different event with King of Leagues. But yeah, well, Aero's now decided to change his mind on that and go back to mediums, so perhaps doing a little bit of trolling there, but if he was doing that, then he has managed to catch out Poldiver, who has gone for the hards. So only two drivers on the alternate strategy here. I think that's going to make things very interesting. Donato, are you back?
I am back, but I don't
Very
know if
good.
my connection is stable enough.
Sounds
But
alright for now.
yeah, yeah. As you had the rundown of the drivers, I'm excited to see what Trains and Aero are cooking up with that hard to medium strategy. As I said, no one took a risk and went for any strategy with the soft. But I don't think that really makes sense. Of course, the lower conditions and the tire degradations is a bit lower, so I think you can, opt for a longer strategy, a more comfortable strategy where less roll pace is needed, and you just have to maintain consistent laps and just grind them out. But I think you've got a good race going on for today. 17 drivers on the grid, and I'm especially looking towards the midfield here. Because there's going to be some massive shakeups, I think, during the race, and obviously the top 5, I think Elias will have the advantage going.
Yep, and as what we would generally be expecting, and just about.
Both of the charging McLarens behind him aren't going to be able to let it go.
So I think the lag may be intervening again just a little bit here. I guess there's not going to be too much we can do about that, so we'll just play it by ear, but I'll also ask Sbinotto if you can just move your mic a little bit closer. That would be just great. But anyway, we are getting ready now to get this race underway. With Thresh will be the last driver on the grid to pull into his grid slot back in P17. Obviously, one of, I believe, 2 drivers to endure the disconnect glitch in qualifying. The other being home hero Elish or Zek in the first of the VCARBs. So let's see how these guys are able to get on here. As Sbinotto is going to quickly restart his Discord. Hopefully he's not going to miss too much action. But we are getting ready to get this race underway, as now Thresh is pulled in at the back of the grid. Here we go. Let's look to the front of the field. Are we going to be able to see the lights? Let's ride on board for 4 and 5 red lights. And eventually we are go in Melbourne, and Elias seems to have got a decent start there. It's going to be enough to hold on to the lead as they head down towards the first corner. Pooldiver's gotten a terrible start from 3rd on the grid. Is everyone going to make it through cleanly? It looks like so far through the first couple of corners they are, but there was almost some contact further back there. Pooldiver down to 12th from 3rd place on the grid. A terrible start for the McLaren driver. Loris therefore is up into 2nd, Kiesiel up to 3rd. Phil now side by side with Aero. Aero running off the track, but he's going to have the inside coming into turn 5, and that's why Pooldiver was disconnected. So it was his AI that took the start of the race, and that is catastrophic for him. Down to P12 already. Very unfortunate for him, not what you want to see at all, but it seems like so far everyone has made it through cleanly.
Yeah, and you said Aero ran off the track in turn 1, but as I said, it was Elias that got the jump into turn 1, but Pooldiver from 3rd to 12th and now getting overtaken by Stoll and Elish. Pooldiver keeps dropping back. It's been a horrific start to the McLaren, as now he's found himself in the back 4, now fighting with Igzys
and there goes one of the Alpines. I think that's Kateshi going off. It is indeed Kateshi to the back.
It is Kateshi, yeah.
That is not what he was looking for at all. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Loris has managed to put a move on Elias in the final sector. No clue how he's managed to do that, but Kiesiel's trying to follow him through now, up into 2nd place. They're going to be side by side into the first corner, getting very close together, the Haas and the Ferrari. Elias going to have the inside line into turn 3, but Kiesiel deploying battery all the way. Aero's going to be getting involved in the fight now as well, as there's very close between all 3 of them there, but I think Elias might just get it done. There's contact now. Aero again off the track at turn 4, sideways there, half spun and has to save it, as now, well, it's a complete pandemonium, perhaps is up to 4th out of nowhere, round the outside of Kiesiel at turn 5, impressive stuff by the Finnish driver, and yeah, chaos is breaking out already on lap 2.
Yeah, it's elbows out here in Albert Park. Every car has the DRS now open, as Aero got sent off the track. Was that a racing incident or was that something else? And there oh my god, it almost looked like perhaps almost lost the car there in that turn. But everyone's got the DRS and everyone's chasing Loris in P1. Got the move done on Elias in turn 1. And like I said, elbows out perhaps, and Phil specifically getting on top of the other drivers, and he's now on to P3.
Very impressive stuff from those guys, of course. And obviously, it's also quite impressive for Loris. He's got the lead, and he was able to hold it through the first 2 DRS zones on the back streets. But I believe Elias might just be looking to try and settle into a bit of a rhythm here, because he certainly had the pace to pass into turn 1. He's probably going to have the pace to pass into turn 3, but it seems like he's just going to be biding his time here a little bit and sitting back in P2 until he has the the supreme overspeed to make the move just on DRS alone. And looks like that's going to be pretty much as soon as they get out of turn 6 here with how close he is to the back of the McLaren. But yeah, he's got to be careful from the threat coming in from behind him. Phil Malone is going to be there, and perhaps as well, a driver who I would expect to be taking absolutely no prisoners is going to be loving the fact he's this far up the field, and so Elias has now decided, time to get a move on, gets around the outside of Loris, heading towards turn 9, and gets the move done cleanly back into P1. Meanwhile, further down the order, it's Zach and Belter going side by side there. And seems like Zach has been able to get the move done on the Aston Martin driver, heading in towards turn 9, and he is now going to be up into P10 as Paul Diver, now I believe back in the car, is going to have to make one hell of a recovery drive here today, makes his way past Trimmershy back up into P13.
Paul Diver did set the fastest lap on those hards, but there is a yellow flag. That might be that is Gateshi again. Yellow in sector 3 now. Aero now improves the fastest lap on the medium. He wants to hit those places back and wants to get into the top 3 again. Aero 7th, and he's gonna have a few places to make up if he wants to challenge and help his teammate. But now it's gonna be Loris against Elias for the lead, but here we look at the midfield battle here. Elias is backing them up, and that's going to cause a lot more battles down the pack. As you can see, everyone is within a second of each other in kind of a DRS train. It is a DRS train, as a matter of fact. So it's going to really matter. Yeah, and you can see Loris almost tries to look for something here, though there around the outside. And now Elish gets the move done on I Like Trains. And now Porky Lemur and Arrow really close. Arrow down the inside, hard on the brakes, gets the move done. Oh, and Slides doesn't get the move done, but now he does. He slams on the accelerator, and now it's going to be really close in the last few final corners. Elias tries to close Loris out, but Loris will have the speed advantage.
Oh, Phil's got a good exit. Loris,
there you go.
Out of shape. And Phil is going to get up the inside. Is he going to go for the lead? Yes, he is. Phil Malone soaring towards the front, side by side with Elias into turns 1 and 2. The Ferrari driver is going to be through, and there's been a crash further back in the field. I Like Trains, I believe, been involved in some kind of drama, but we've got to look up at the front here. Here comes Loris up the inside into turn 3. Phil's gotten through into the lead past Elias. Now, Loris going right round the outside of the Ferrari driver. He's going to have the inside at turn 5. This is going to be close. Somehow they managed to keep it clean between the two of them. Perhaps is looking behind, waiting in the wings for something to happen. Taps the back of Elias there as they go through turn 6. Very touchy stuff between all of these guys here. Kisiel's coming round the outside now. It's all kicking off up at the front of the field, and Phil has just used the fighting to absolutely break away at the front of the field. Almost was able to break DRS, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that, and these guys are now going to have to work together a little bit to reel him back in. But Elias immediately setting his sights on Loris to try and get back into second, which he will do successfully, as Aero holds on from Porky Lima behind him, and yeah, chaos was breaking out in the midfield. Elish now up into P9, and I Like Trains and I believe Soul were both involved in some kind of accident on the start-finish straight.
Yeah, and Phil timed his battery masterfully there in turn 1, almost broke the DRS from the rest of the pack, but it wasn't enough, and that's going to put him kind of out of shape as he used too much battery. If you use too much battery, then it's going to influence the rest of your race and the rest of your stint, because you're going to need to work harder to get that battery back. And Elias is right on his heels now, and Loris is eager to make that move, as he was making that move in the last few laps, but it didn't quite stick for him, as Kisiel was also around the outside about this part of the track last lap, but he also wasn't able to make the move stick. But yeah, the top from top 2 and to the top 6 is going to be looking like a Ferrari sandwich here.
It's around the outside. What a move!
Look at that! What a move! But that's and he does have DRS on Phil, so Phil is going to be all out of shape here, and Loris tries to go around.
Phil gets hit from behind. It was
Contact,
tapped by perhaps there, and does well to hold on to it there, as now Zoxon and Aero side by side here. It was Zoxon this whole time, not Pokylima, so apologies for that, as now Kisiel, I don't know what he was doing there, just plows into the side of perhaps, and oh my god, they were 3 wide for a moment at the final corner. Kisiel out of shape. Aero up into P5 now, and Kiesel's going to have to settle back in P7 after, well, a complete disaster of a final sector for him. What I was going to say is that he has, had the most battery of anyone in the top 5 places, but unfortunately for him, hasn't really been able to do anything with that, and is now dropping down to P7. But yeah, no shortage of action in this race so far, as it's behind these guys, quite a bit of a gap to, well, Pokélima is now catching them as a result of all the fighting. And then Reese or Hypeswolf ahead of Pool Diver, who is now up into the top 10 and slowly but surely using the different vehicles in his way to use the DRS and sort of pull himself along back towards the top pack, who are fighting so hard that they might actually give Pool Diver a chance to get back into the race. Speaking of which, his teammate side by side with Elias, and again, Elias able to this time hold the position around the outside, but he's not going to have DRS now. Heading down towards turn 11, he's going to force Loris the long way around here, but there is better traction on the exit if he leaves some space for the Dutchman. They bang tyres now, heading down towards turn 12. Elias with the inside line will surely hold on, but Loris, is he going to send it? No, thinks better of it. Meanwhile, Phil is just about able to defend from perhaps behind it.
Yeah, Elias didn't give an inch of space in the exit there. Wanted to keep Loris in the...
Here we go, we might be 3 wide here.
There you go, 3 wide into turn 1, almost 3 wide. Phil just thought better of it, but Loris overtook Elias, and Phil down the inside goes Phil and goes for the move on Loris, and here he is.
Oh, perhaps so late on the brakes. Wow, disconnect is really making that look a lot more dramatic than it was, but they're still side by side now. Loris and perhaps for P2, as well, Elias has just been cycled backwards in all of this stuff. Starting at turn 11 and just going downwards from there, now down to P4, but perhaps looked so out of shape coming to turn 3, but thankfully did seem to just be a little bit of desync. But again, Phil Malone able to get up into the lead. There was a little mistake from Loris coming out of turn 2, and that is what allowed the German to pounce and make his move back to P1. But now, it almost looked like there was some contact between the Dutch and Finnish drivers there coming into turn 9. That is not what you want to see, but Elias is going to be immediately looking to make up the position back into the podium places. Around the outside of perhaps now is a former teammate from a little while ago, and perhaps really no love lost between the two of them there, as Elias is going to have to dive to the inside at turn 13. Can't find any way through on the Finnish driver, who's fighting this with all he's got. Into the pits now comes Kiesil, so he's going to be going for quite the massive undercut here. I know the mediums aren't going to last too long, but they should be able to go about another 5 laps at least, yeah, I would have to imagine, so let's see if that works out for him. But all the while, perhaps held onto P3 very nicely there.
I can imagine the pandemonium going on in the Mercedes and Ferrari team chats. I mean, all of them working together to get some kind of distance onto the other drivers here, as we see Elias and Aero trying to work together, but Elias just falling backwards and cannot get past perhaps there in those final few corners of the track. And Kiesil dived into the pits. Is that going to be a good strategy call, do you reckon?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. He will get quite the big undercut from that, but he's going to really struggle come the end of the race. So I would expect to see the Haas driver get some track position here, but it really depends on what happens in this fight, because the battle is still well and truly on for every position here. Getting so close together, perhaps is really getting the elbows out here, which is, considering that he's kept it clean so far, this is what we do love to see. And Elias, once again, going to have to resort to the dive at turn 13. Now he's going to get hit by Aero, who, he's going to get hit by perhaps as well. Aero's going to come into the pits and hit the pit wall, destroys his front wing, and it's capitulation for Ferrari once again. Is he going to speed in the pits? Thankfully not. It is a safety car, yes. And the front guys have already gone through. This is going to change the race massively, and Aero did speed into the pits. It's all falling apart for your team.
Yeah, Aero hitting the front wing and getting the 10-second time penalty. Oh my god, he is going to be a pit stop ahead, so that may promote him into P1, but I'm pretty sure the damage is done. The 10 seconds is so much time to make up. Let's wait and see what happens. He is going to be P1 if the driver's ahead of him pit, but we'll have to wait and see for that. And if he's going to be P1, I think it's going to be basically damage control. He's going to try to help his teammate as much as he can.
Um,
But yeah, what an untimely safety car for the rest of the field. Was that caused by Arrow's front wing,
I
or
mean,
was
it
that
must
caused by
have been.
something behind?
I didn't see anything else happening at the same time, so I would assume it was just his debris blocking the pit lane entry. But what I will say is, I don't know if he's actually going to gain any track position from this, because obviously he had to replace the front wing, which will have cost him a lot of extra time in the pits here. So I believe because of the delta, I don't think he's going to really be able to gain anything from this, and he's probably still going to end up cycling out behind all of the cars who he was
Well,
racing.
yeah.
So let's wait and see here how things shake out, but I'm assuming everyone is going to be pulling into the pits here, and indeed they are, including, I believe, well, let's see, yeah, Pool Diver also in, and he was one of the guys who started on hard tyres, so this is really not what he needed, and I'm honestly quite surprised to see him in the pits here, because he's basically committing himself to another stop as we have chaos in the pits now.
Yeah, and Arrow didn't get any advantage from that because they hadn't caught up to the safety car yet. The safety car wasn't didn't drive out in the pits into turn 1, so they didn't catch up to that, and Arrow didn't have the prompt to drive as fast as he could to catch up to the rest of the field, which means he stays
Wow.
in P11 with a 10-second time penalty. That's gonna cost him his race, and I think Elish had to cede position there to the Haas there. Don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I think he was
Minor contact.
I think he was trying to race the Haas out of the pit lane to see if he could gain a position there, but wasn't able to quite make it, so had to give it back. He's still going to be in P10, but yeah, Aero, P11 after everybody has now pitted ahead of him. That has cost him big time, that mistake. But yeah, what that is going to do is, well, for the rest of the field who wasn't bunched up, they are now going to be bunched up, and yeah, we're going to be basically using this as a few laps to breathe here before inevitably the chaos reignites the second we get the race back underway. But I have to say, it's been thrilling stuff so far, and up until the little mistake there from Aero, it had been kept remarkably clean up at the front, barring a couple of scratches and bruises between those guys. So hopefully things do continue in that vein, and we are able to see some clean battling all the way to the end, because it has been really enjoyable to watch so far. But looking at the strategy now, like I mentioned, the guys who started on the hard tyres, this is the worst case scenario for them, and Pool Diver, who was having a really tough race already, was making a strong recovery drive. Well, he's just been kicked back to square zero with this one, because on the medium tyres, with 18 laps left to go, that is going to be one hell of an order for him to try and manage those tyres before the end, and I think at this point he's just going to be praying for another safety car now.
Yeah, and obviously very unfortunate for Kisiel, who just pitted 2 laps prior, and now he's got the older hards, and he has to manage them for, like you said, 18 laps. That is gonna be pretty much a deal breaker for him, as you see, 3-lap-old hards, while the others have just finished their first lap of the hards, and now Unlike Trains is pitting. Yeah, for the
Front
medium.
wing change.
Oh, front wing change as well. Okay. That's interesting. Did he start in the hards? I think he didn't.
He did start on the hards, but then he had to pit onto mediums after the first crash, and then seems like something else might have even happened under the safety car for him, and either that or he just had some damage that he decided, you know what, it's only going to cost me a couple places, better off to repair that and have a fully capable car to the end. But he hasn't gone back onto hards. He could have just gone into hards here, which...
I was gonna say that.
Bizarre strategy.
Yeah, he has to manage the mediums for a longer period of time, so maybe he didn't have any hard tires left. I don't know. But yeah, it's bizarre. And Thresh didn't pit for some reason. Maybe he's waiting for a different safety car.
Well, I know Thresh disconnected earlier on in the race. I don't know if he if he ever did rejoin. I would assume he has, after it has been 11 laps already. But yeah, he has made a pit stop, I believe, but I don't know. Strange strategy going on down at Alpine, but we do have safety car in this lap, so this is going to get very frantic very quickly here. So, what are you expecting? What are you expecting on this restart? And I suppose what are you hoping for as well?
You know what I'm hoping for, but what I'm expecting is a whole different thing. I'm expecting a huge all-out battle between the top 6 here. And they're all in the same tire, so it's all just gonna come down to raw pace here. As Elias, the safety car goes in, the lights go on, and I'm sorry, I said Elias, Loris leads them away into the final few corners.
That's right on board with the Dutchman then. When is he going to decide to put the power down? He has free reign to do so whenever he likes. The safety car is behind the wall and away goes Loris now. Through the final corner, he seems to have gotten a decent jump on Phil, and we are back to racing here, and it's Elias who's arguably had one of the worst restarts there. He's dropped back quite a bit to perhaps ahead of him here, so going to have a little bit of work to do to close that gap up, but I'm sure he'll be able to do it, as we are underway once again here in Australia. And yeah, let's see how long before the chaos kicks off, and in fact it might have already done so, because I think somebody was off momentarily at turn 1, but seems like everyone's made it through. Trimmershave is, well, doing a Trimmershave strategy. I'll leave him to it, to be honest. I'm not really sure what he's cooking there, but anyway, up at the front of the field, things have been kept clean so far, and it is Loris who leads from Phil, perhaps Elias, and Zoxon up into 5th place by virtue of just keeping things clean, but the man to watch is Paul Diver, who I believe has already made a move to get past Kiesiel, and is now going to be hunting down that Mercedes and trying to make the most of the mediums whilst they are still in good shape.
And here you go, he makes the move for P5. Now it's Zoxon in P6, Paul Diver in P5, and now chasing the Ferrari of Elias and Aero, eager to make amends here. 10th place, improved from 11th, obviously, but still not good enough for him, I don't think, as he's got the 10-second time penalty, and he lost out on a few positions by his own mistake, so fairly said. But he's chasing Reese here, and the battle towards the top is heating up, as Elias is chasing perhaps, and he's within 3/10 of him, but perhaps has been defending very, very well, and I don't think he's going to let the Bahraini driver pass.
I'll have to wait and see here. He certainly was putting up some big fight and talk, I suppose, earlier on in the race, and we'll see if he's going to continue that. I have no doubt he's going to be going absolutely all out, because he sniffs a very realistic, at this point, chance of a podium here, if just a couple of things fall his way at the right time. So let's see what the Finnish driver can do as a little bit of the, a little bit of a cog in the machine here, and see if he's going to cause Elias any problems, as DRS is now available, but not going to be used just yet by anyone in the top 4, but Aero did manage to use it to get past Reese into P9, so he's continuing his climb through the field. What about into turn 11, though? Elias is going to get to the inside, as now, trying to go on the outside into the grass with Pool Diver, side by side still ahead between Elias and perhaps. They're going to be wheel to wheel, heading now into turn 13. Once again, Elias has been here quite a few times already, this time though with the outside line against perhaps. He's going to be able to get the move done and get himself finally ahead of the Sauber up into P3, but for how long? Because, well, perhaps is still right there, and he's got plenty of battery left to deploy, so I think this one is far from over just yet between these guys, as the DRS train will once again look to reform now, as, well, pretty much the entire top 10 is within 1 second of each other. Here goes Paul Diver now, not wanting to waste any time on those medium tyres, and just about able to clear perhaps there. A little bit of contact, I think, going through turn 4, but thankfully everybody is able to keep things clean for the time being. But you can see already, just with that little bit of fighting, Elias was able to break quite a bit of a gap. So these guys are going to have to be careful not to lose DRS, and to make sure they don't hold each other up so much that the top 3 are able to break away. As now, going to be side by side in a lot of different places here. Elias decided not to go for the move just yet, but side by side between Reese and Kiesiel, or sorry, Paul Diver and Kiesiel, heading through turns 9 and 10, and I think there was a little bit of a touch between them, but everybody's still somehow facing in the right direction. Aero fakes a move on Poki Lima there, as Zoxon isn't able to get past Kiesiel, and somehow everyone is going to hold position for the time being. Oh, as now Aero sends it around the outside. Nice move.
Around the outside. Yeah, that was a nice move, but it's still not done yet. Now it is. Round the inside, down the inside. But he's going to be... I mean, if he doesn't have any battery, he's going to be susceptible for a move here. But now, I did tell you, perhaps was not going to let Elias go by past... No, what did I just say?
Well, speaking of pass.
Perhaps made sure that Elias didn't go past very easily, but he did get the move done in the end, as now Elias is chasing Loris and Phil, who seems to be kind of succumbing to the pressure here, but we'll just have to wait and see if Phil can keep up the pace and keep Loris behind him, as now Elias is get inching ever closer, and so is Loris. And there you go, around the outside goes Loris, DRS
And
on,
Elias
and
follows
there's
him
no
right
space
through.
for and Elias. Yeah, I was gonna say there's no space for Elias, but there is, and now Loris is gonna be susceptible for a move here down the inside from Elias, but now perhaps wants to make that move. He gets the apex. It's side by side between him and perhaps, but he settles in just behind Phil. As they round the last few corners into lap 17 here, Thresh has left the session. He has retired on track. There could be a possibility of a safety car here.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eye on that. Seems like he's once again had the disconnect retirement glitch. Same thing he had in qualifying, so big shame for him. It was going to be a tough order for him on the whatever medium strategy he was trying to make work, but yeah, unfortunately, day's going to be over for him, and it's not going to trigger any kind of safety car. His car has been cleared. Soul is also going to retire in the pits, so a little bit of a race of attrition here, as people are starting to... Pardon?
Yeah, Thresh disconnected and the car retired, and he just joined back
Yeah.
to find out that his car has indeed retired, which is a real...
A devastating moment. I've been through that one a few times before, but up at the front of the field, Loris and Elias have managed to break a little bit of a gap to Phil and perhaps after those two were fighting. And speaking of which, around the outside goes Pole Diver. Can he make two moves for the price of one? Yes, he can at turn 9 and 10, but Phil hangs it round the outside at turn 10 through the right-hander. On the grass now is the McLaren driver. They both have DRS. In towards turn 11, it's going to be close. Everybody locking up under braking. Pole Diver with the inside line now around the next of the right-handers, but Phil right round the outside of him. Valiant effort by the German to hold on to his position, and he will keep it for the time being in P3 as Kiesiel, a little bit out of shape there, is going to allow Aero through into P6.
Yeah, Aero from 11th to 6th now. He over to Kiesiel, but Kiesiel is right on his heels. Look at that. Very close. It fakes a move, goes onto the grass. Not an optimal line by Kiesiel, although Aero is looking once again to make amends and is trying to inch ever closer to the cars ahead of him, but Pole Diver also blazing through the field here, now up to P4. Just fought with Phil, but hasn't been able to make a decent move just yet, as Phil has been defending so well against him, and he's eager for these next 11 laps. He is going to try his darndest to keep that McLaren behind. And Loris is just, I think Loris is just shouting at Pole Diver to get past Phil. So both of them can get Elias, who's now in P1 with a 2/10 gap, but that gap is ever
contact.
opening. And look at that contact, perhaps Kiesiel and Aero involved. Aero gets the good exit, wants to go around the outside of Kiesiel, gets the better entry into the corner, and breaks
Locking
later.
the race.
And look at that.
Kiesiel with a switchback of dreams. They're still side by side, and Kiesiel's going to make it work round the outside. Great race in between them, but some questions have to be raised about what was actually the initial cause of this battle, because there was quite a bit of contact. Yeah, Zuxon's trying to have a look as well. Not able to find any room at the end just yet, but now he might have a chance to play in what's little left of his battery to try and get to the outside of the Portuguese driver now. Round the outside he will indeed go at turn 3, and he will get the move done as Aero is stuck trying to recharge his battery at the moment. He has got a little bit more than the German ahead of him, but yeah, fights breaking out left, right and centre, and this is what I said. These guys have to be careful of this, because look, the gap now between Phil and Loris up to 0.8 of a second, and I think by the looks of things, Pole Diver's tyres are already past their peak, and he might start to struggle from here on out for the rest of this race. Gonna be a long day if they are already going off with 10 laps still left to go, so let's see what can happen here. Let's see if Loris is able to take the fight to Elias on his own. We have seen him do that a couple of times already in the past, and I think with the assistance of DRS and knowing how the dirty air just doesn't exist on this game, he is going to be able to stay in reach, failing any mistakes for, well, either of the top two really, but that is still a factor that we are kind of yet to see in this race, and might be something that starts to play a role as the tyres do wear out later on in the stint. These guys haven't actually had a chance to run on worn tyres yet because of the safety car earlier on. Loris now tucked right up behind Elias, and I don't think it's going to be long before these guys start switching places as well.
Yeah, perhaps some Pole Diver here, very close on the start-finish straight But yeah, I think that battle between Aero and Kisiel
Ooh.
was magnificent. It now perhaps makes contact with Pool Diver. I just talked about them being very close, and here you go. They pushed the limit a bit too far, and now perhaps made contact with Pool Diver, although it's not going to have a lot of impact on Pool Diver's pace, as he's looking rapid in that McLaren, and he's eager to get Phil in his sights once again.
And something we're going to have to start considering soon is the time penalties, because quite a lot of guys at the top of the field have accrued some level of penalties, so, well, let's wait and see if anyone fancies a move. Zuxon's going to be able to get past Elish or P9, and Loris not quite close enough yet. We are going to stay single file as it was up at the front of the field. Here is Zuxon now going for a second move on Reese. Right up the inside he goes, and with a little bit of force, he is able to see himself through and up into P9, as Kateshi once again having a bit of a disaster of a day for him. He's also spun now over at the exit of turn 4, but yeah, doesn't look like he's going to be triggering a safety car just yet, so we are going to stay green, but I think the Croatian driver might be better off just pulling back into the pits and letting this fight go on unabated from everyone else around him, as Loris still tucked up behind the back of Elias, and I wonder if now, into the final 8 laps of the race, might he just be already starting to consider who wants to be ahead at what lap, and trying to be potentially behind going into the final lap of the race?
Yeah, and Loris was a bit further back this lap than he was last lap. So, I mean, the fight is on here. It's 8 laps to the finish of the race, but we can see if he can get that move on and try to compete for position here. He's there, but he cannot orchestrate that move to actually fight for the race lead here. As now it's going to be a battle between 8th, 9th, and 10th. As now down the inside goes, around the outside goes Eilish. I think Zoxon was trying to make a move here, but it kind of backfired on him, as now the V-Carb just got ahead of him. And now Kateshi, what's happening there on the start finish?
Kateshi's retired in the pit lane.
Yeah, Tremorshave and Kateshi retired in the pit lane here. Yeah, but yeah, it's once again, it's looking kind of the same. Not a few moves being made right now.
Yeah, everyone's sort of gotten into a little bit of a holding pattern at the moment, where I think people are just trying to save battery. I mean, look at Loris, he's got 100% battery, he's not spending at all, just comfortably sitting in the DRS of Elias. The only thing that's going to cause him trouble is exactly what ignited all of the fighting earlier on in the race, it must have been about 20 laps ago by now, but it was Phil behind Elias that caused the initial moves to start happening, and it's Phil now behind Loris, who might be pressuring the Dutchman into a move. Meanwhile, behind him, we might be about to go 3 wide with Kiesiel on the outside, Pole Diver in the middle, and perhaps on the inside, heading into turn 9. Pole Diver just about holds onto his position with some lenient definitions of track limits there, but no penalties popping up at the moment. And now in towards turn 11, perhaps actually having a look and making contact now, and that triggers, well, a complete chain reaction. It is Aero, and I think he might have got some damage there, coming off the worst of it, despite not even being involved at all in the first place. Yep, he's missing his right front end plate, and, well, this day that was already going to be tough for Aero is just going from bad to worse here.
I wonder if he's going to box, but yeah, that's going to be detrimental for Aero, as he's going to be falling, yeah, and Zoxon just overtakes him now. I think he has to either box or he has to salvage whatever he can left in this race, as he has got a 10-second time penalty. But here we look at, yeah, look at that. Tries to go around the outside, but the car just is not grippy enough, and he just can't do anything, as that front wing is not helping him at all. And now he's going to be basically outside of the point. He has those 10 seconds of time penalties, and that's gonna count him out of this race.
And we talked about it for quite some time. Now it has finally happened because of all of that chaos. These guys, 4th, 5th, and 6th, but Pole Diver perhaps and Kiesiel are now well outside of DRS range to the top 3. They have well and truly broken away, so it's going to be 2 packs of 3 fighting at the front of the field, and fighting they are right behind him. The contact has not deterred perhaps at all. He's going to be up the inside again at turn 11. This time it's on Kiesiel. This time he keeps it clean, but Kiesiel will fall off the track of his own volition there. A little mistake from the Polish driver, but he gets back underway, and going to have to lock in once again in P6 to stay within the fight, as Loris having a little look to the inside of Elias, but still not willing to spend even an ounce of battery at this point. I think it's pretty conclusive at this stage that Loris wants to be behind going into the final lap or two of this race, so we're just going to be in a case of holding pattern for the next few laps, barring any incidents, and then waiting for all of the drama to explode at the end of the race, as so often happens on this game.
Yeah, I wonder if perhaps in Kisiel, considering the fact that Pool Diver has got a time penalty, I wonder if they're just I wonder if they're thinking about just staying behind him up until like the last few laps, just like Lars is doing to Elias right there, as now perhaps is not wasting any time and he's trying to get past him. You can see the DRS flap just goes on and he goes down the inside, and now into these fast 2 corners, left and then right. Perhaps is ahead, and Pool Diver is.
Wow.
Now there's contact between him and Kisiel. Kisiel does have the toe front perhaps, and goes round the outside, which leaves Pool Diver the loser in the scenario. He's now 6th, and he went from 4th to 6th in a few corners time. Aero has once again made amends. Went from 10th to 7th here. He is fast, but I don't think he can do anything else I don't think he can do anything else with that broken front wing.
And, of course, with 13 seconds now of penalties as well, he's picked up a track limits penalty just to rub salt into the wound. So, yeah, he's doing his best to soldier on to the checkered flag here as area. If there was to be a safety car, it'd have to be now or never, really. We're getting to that stage of the race. But if there was to be one, he might yet be able to salvage something. But, yeah, I think his day is as good as done in terms of point scoring potential for the Portuguese driver. But a valiant effort nonetheless, and a good display of the potential that he does indeed have. Meanwhile, up towards the front of the field, I think Elias might just be starting to ramp up the pace a little bit. He's still got plenty of battery in stock as well, as does Loris, but the action still continues to be right behind them in P4 and 5. Kisiel once again overtakes Bahats, and the double DRS zone that you get here is really plaguing whoever enters turn 9 ahead, as now on the grass. Pool Diver. Wow, that was an incredible save. F124 really coming in clutch there with a 90-degree save. It's not even physically possible, but he's done it anyway, so props to him for that. He's really clinging on to those medium tyres, as my internet seems to be clinging on for dear life as well, with a bit of the desync that we're showing here, but hopefully we're going to persevere on through to the end, as perhaps is now going to re-overtake Kisiel into turn 1.
Yeah, you just liked a bit there, but now perhaps gets the position over Kisiel and Pool Diver, who have to fight it out on their own, as they both have 30 seconds of time penalties. So it's going to be a battle between them, because perhaps he's going to get that position either way. So he's not really concerned, as he isn't really in that battle, as now there is, speaking of battles, there is one going on behind Aero right now. It's Zoxon, Reese, and Elish. Reese does have 6 seconds of time penalties, which places him 3 seconds behind the cars that are next to him, although that's not going to influence him, and he's going to try to get the move on, but Zoxon gets the move on here, and yeah, they make a little bit of contact there, but Zoxon is ahead so far, as now Aero tries to go down the inside, but someone who goes down the inside is Reese, who does that move on Aero, and now he's trying to finish that move, but Aero will have the inside line into the second to last corner here, down the inside, but he's going to get the switchback done on him, and now Elliot into P3.
He's just dropped 2 positions there. That was down the straight. I wonder if he lifted off or something there, because both Phil and Loris have just sailed past him. We might have even missed a 3-wide moment reminiscent of what we saw earlier in the race, but it's now, all of a sudden, we've flipped the top 3 on its head. I was expecting that we were going to make it to the final lap before any real changes started happening, but lap 27, things have changed quite dramatically here. It's now still Loris in second place, but Phil and Elias have swapped places, so, well, what do we even do here? This really changes the script for everything. Does Elias fancy a move on Loris to get into P2? I would have to imagine he does, But how hard is he willing to fight? Well, he's going to go right round the outside of Phil. He's going to try to follow him through. Once again, Loris to the lead, Elias up to second. Thankfully, these guys keep it clean as perhaps makes his way back up into 4th place again. But with the penalties, he does not really need to be fighting too hard. So I think the Sauber driver is just going to try to bring it home at this stage with only 2 laps left to go. But up at the front of the field, no penalties in sight for all of these 3, which is exactly what we want to see. It's going to be a pure fight of, well, it's skill and pace and, most importantly, ERS management towards the end of this race. When will these guys make their moves? And, well, it seems like Loris has actually managed to break a little bit of a gap here, but I think with the DRS, that is going to come down very, very quickly. We are in for a barnstormer of a finish here.
Yeah, and Loris is pretty much a sacrificial lamb going into the second to last lap here, as he is going to be the one without DRS, and he's going to be prone to any attacks in the straights, which are going to be really important in the last lap, because that's going to be the determining factor. It's just going to be your top speed. Obviously, you can try to defend as hard as you can, but you cannot defend against raw speed, and Loris is going to be prone to an attack in the last lap of the race, which is the worst situation a driver can be in. And this is kind of oh, and there's a yellow flag. I think that that is I Like Trains on the soft tires set the fastest lap some time ago.
Here comes
TCL
Phil.
gets the
And here comes Elias to the inside on Loris. It's not even the final lap yet. These guys are going a little bit too early. Elias is having to make a move in response to the threat from Phil behind him. It's three cars in the space of about 2 meters here as they head down into turn 13. But what is the penultimate time now? And it's still Loris who leads, but look how much he's struggling on the rear end there, just trying to get the power down. Heading towards turn 1 now, there's been an incident behind them, and Loris is going to be recharging all the way to turn 1, so there'll be 3 wide, 2 wide now with Phil and Elias side by side. Loris trying to hold on to second for dear life because he knows that might be what gives him the win of this race. Phil, though, he's not looking to waste any time, having a look to the inside on Elias, as it's all going to be kicking off on the final lap now. Contact between Loris and Phil, as Loris still losing the back end. Those tyres have seen far better days, and in fact perhaps is going to have DRS from him, so it's all falling apart for the challengers on the final lap, and it might just come down to Phil whether he can do anything to stop Elias from taking the win. Gap is up to 7/10. How much battery does he have to deploy? Elias has got a full tank saved up, but here comes the challengers from behind, heading down towards turn 9 and 10 for the final time, but they're not gaining enough. Elias might have just played a blinder here to make the move at the right time. Trains has retired from the session, but up at the front, Phil, despite the DRS, is not going to get close enough to Elias. Perhaps is in fact going to have to defend from Kiesiel, but again, with the penalty, he will hold on if he can just keep it clean, but they want to be side by side. Kiesiel wants to position on track just for glory's sake. Meanwhile, Elias, though, he has done absolutely everything he needed to do. He's played it perfectly on the strategy, nailed the ERS management, and he's rewarded with victory here down under in Victoria. And it's going to be Elias from Phil Malone second, Loris third. What a finish to the race that was. These guys did not fail to put on a show, and that was some fantastic racing, but I think Loris especially is going to be bitterly disappointed with that final lap.
Yeah, that final lap was masterfully executed by Elias. I thought that he was going to stay behind in turn 1, but he went elbows out into turn 1, got that position early, and then Phil tried to get that move on Elias after turn 1, but it didn't happen, and then it went elbows out between Phil and Loris. They started making contact, and then Loris's tires just couldn't keep up with what he was asking of the car. And he started sliding around, and the gap grew ever farther between Phil and Elias, and it just wasn't enough to make up with that DRS, as now Igzys now closes us off from a absolutely breathtaking Australian Grand Prix.
That was a true joy to watch, and I'm so pleased that everyone, aside from 1 or 2 little incidents, was able to keep the fighting really clean and respectful there. It was DRS train racing at its finest. We actually got some very good entertainment out of it today. But yeah, I do think Loris will be kicking himself a little bit that he made some mistakes on the final lap there. The contact with Phil coming out at turn 3 might just have been what cost him the chance to win the race. But Elias nails his battery management. That is his true specialty on the final lap, being able to fend off from the challengers behind him, and he has done it perfectly once again and takes victory at the Australian Grand Prix to extend his championship lead even further. And I suspect he's probably getting to the point now where he might even be in position to close up the championship within the next race or two. So fantastic job, as always, by him. And really valiant effort from Phil to get home in second place. Not quite the win he'd have been hoping for, but still, very strong performance. Loris will have to accept the 15 points of third, even if it wasn't what he was looking for there going into the final couple of laps. Then perhaps has to be very pleased for the P4 kick Sauber. That's got to be one of his best results of the season. He's going to be delighted with that, no doubt. Then Kiesel coming home P5 ahead of Pole Diver 6th, who actually made those medium tyres last to the checkered flag. Big props to him for doing that, even if they must have started to fall off towards the end. Then Zuxen, strong result for him in the Mercedes P7. His teammate is going to come home last of the points finishers, and on debut, the home favourite Aussie, Zach or Elish, is going to score 2 points for VCARB, coming home P9.
Yeah, well done by all of the drivers. Well done by perhaps, especially that P4 finish. He's going to be ecstatic about. We usually don't see him in that position, fighting around the top 5 there, but he's done masterfully too, and he's absolutely kept the pace between those cars, and he was actually a threat to Elias fighting him in towards the middle of the race. But yeah, what an enthralling race.
Yeah, truly a pleasure to watch, and I think after that level of excitement, we're going to need a couple of minutes to cool down. So we'll do exactly that. We'll get the driver of the day poll up in the chat, and we'll return in a few moments' time with some interviews, some onboards, and everything that the drivers have to say and show us about this race. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back, everybody. We are ready to get the driver interviews underway, and we are going to be starting things off as usual with our race winner, Mr. Elias, and I will hand the interview over to his team principal to have a post-race debrief. Let's get him in. Elias, welcome in.
Hello,
Hello.
hello.
Hello, hello.
Well, that was certainly a race. I mean, I have some words for you after it because I was. It was interesting. It was definitely interesting. How was it from your perspective?
Well, I think for the most part, um, yeah, that's that DRS train. I just couldn't get a gap in the beginning, and then I made a mistake on the first lap. I went on the grass, so that's what let Loris fight me and get past. So yeah, that basically started the whole shit show, basically. So yeah, and then from then, DRS train. Yeah, just people going for the most unnecessary, desperate moves I've ever seen in my entire life. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just tried to be patient, I guess, and I guess it worked out in the end. Like I knew after boxing, like if I don't think of something, I'm not winning the race because they're not gonna
Hmm.
pass me. Like
Hmm.
Loris and Phil, they weren't gonna pass me if I continue on and try something last minute with the DRS games.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, they just stayed behind for like 10 laps, and then um, towards lap 27, I think it was, I just turned my ARS off on the straight because I knew, I know Loris wouldn't go for it, but I knew Phil would. I knew Phil would go for that opportunity. So with Phil going for the opportunity, Loris would be forced to use his ERS. So they both went past, and I was just waiting for it to unfold, and yeah, it
Hmm.
worked in my favor basically.
Yeah, we saw that. Do you think the racecraft from the drivers around you was sufficient today? Do you think perhaps could have improved on a few things? Do you think Phil could have improved on a few things?
With Phil, yeah, a few things, but for the most part, he was clean. Loris as well. Loris was the cleanest. Well, there were a lot of moments of, many moments of contact, but I guess it happens when you're racing that closely in a DRS train. Pretty unavoidable.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And you were racing with Arrow, correct?
yeah, it
How do
was.
you think? How do you feel about his race? That you could have had it here. You could have both finished in the top five, but some unlucky moments struck him during the race.
Yeah, I think it was a mix of unlucky and he made a mistake as well when he went to the pits. I think he just um somehow he just hit the pit wall and yeah, broke
Hmm.
his wing, got a penalty. So yeah, I mean, that's what cost them points today. But other than that, like the rest, like it was just yeah, midfield battles. And yeah, I mean, they just weren't being clean. Like I saw what was happening to him. It was
Hmm.
horrendous.
Yeah.
Like from my point of view, it was horrendous. I could only imagine what was going on with him. Like he got
Hmm.
taken out 3, 4 times, and yeah, it was just racing really, really dirty, and yeah, it's just unlucky, honestly. But in terms of pace, he had really good pace, and I know he's gonna bounce back for the next one. Like
Yeah.
he won. He's a champion. Like he won a championship here, so
Hmm.
he knows how to race. He knows damn well how to race. So I know he's gonna bounce back next week.
Yeah. Certainly hope so. Koolest, you have anything to add?
Uh, Not really, honestly. I would have to just say a very good drive from you, to be fair. And yeah, you held off from the challenges coming around you very nicely. You want to talk us through a little bit more specifically the strategy and I suppose the last stage of the race, really, just leading up to it. How much? What was your battery saving like, and what was your plan always to be in front going onto the straights, or did you want to be behind, or was it just made up on the fly?
Well, of course I wanted to be behind on the straights. I mean, heading into that final lap, you want to be behind for that DRS, those long DRS straights. It's impossible to defend without DRS. Um, my battery was always full. Like it was between 80 and 100% the entire time. I was just saving. because I knew they wouldn't go for any moves. They were waiting until the final few laps to, you know, go for it. But yeah, my plan was to, you know, stay behind just like in Vegas. But yeah, that didn't really work out. Instead, they went ahead and then they just started backing each other up. I got backed up and then I had to back the guy behind me up. So yeah, then the moment I saw that they, you know, Loris and Phil were fighting, I just deployed everything. I just went for it. I just went. And I had like a 7/10 gap, and yeah, it was over by then.
Yeah, very well done
So
by
a
you.
similar story to Vegas.
Yeah, very well managed in the closing moments to get it done. So good job on that. And I think last thing to ask is how are you feeling about your prospects for next week's race in Shanghai sprint race as well?
Ooh, China. China. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good race. I'm very fast there, so yeah, excited. See, I think this is like our first race here in China. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the grid does. But heading into it, I'm pretty confident. So we'll see.
right. Well, good to hear. And yeah, congratulations on getting the job done this week. And look forward to seeing you again next week if we if
Thank
we're
you very
even there.
much. Yeah, thank you
All
very
right.
much.
See ya.
Yep. Bye bye.
I like that Loris just closed F1 and booted up Fortnite. After
That
playing
is
for
the
the
all
last 5
ego, and it
minutes.
goes. That is, yeah, that is peak performance right there. Would expect nothing less. So, it looks like then Lawrence is not going to be up for an interview today. But first things first, I think we can move on to our P2 finisher, Phil Malone. He is deafened, but I'll try to get him in anyway. Mr. Phil,
You handled this one, right?
yes.
I
Well,
am here.
hello, Phil.
Hi.
Well, welcome in, and I think welcome back from, I mean, what must have felt a bit like warfare for the last 29 laps or so of that race. It was constant battling, and I have to say, though you didn't quite get the win, all things considered, still a very good result for you. So, how are you feeling about today's race?
Massive hatred towards Elias.
Reasonable?
No, the race was really good. Really good. I didn't expect to be this quick today. Of course, it helped a bit that many people took each other out. But yeah, the pace was really good today. Of course, it helped with the being or staying with the guys in the DRS train. Yeah, if the win would have been possible, maybe, but I guess the triggering of Elias worked with his slowness today, I would call it. He was definitely provoking me to overtake him and Loris, which which I did multiple times, but I couldn't stand being raked out because I knew perhaps was breathing down my neck, and I didn't want to take the chance getting overtaken by him. So I rather overtake them and not fall behind with perhaps because that could have made big time loss.
Yeah, I think you dealt with the situation pretty well, to be fair. Most of the chaos ended up being just behind you in a lot of instances, and actually some contact behind you was what ended up freeing the top three from the rest of the field. So, yeah, I think all things considered, you dealt with the pressure from perhaps pretty well. And yeah, I mean, what was your strategy going into this race? Obviously, qualified, I believe, P6, and so you put yourself in a decent position, but was it always just the plan to work your way through the DRS, or was there something else you had in mind?
It's hard to tell. I guess I just bought it, I would call it. I guess, yeah, in this game you have to consider the DRS train every time. You don't have much choice, to be honest. And I think this track has clearly shown it because it has like, I think it's the track with the most DRS zones of all of them before. If you are not in the DRS of the guys, yeah, you are cooked. So not spinning out is goal number one. and getting points is goal number 2, I guess.
Yeah, that was always going to be the main consideration, I suppose. Also, I think you have to give yourself some credit as well for not having any issues with track limits. Was that something you were concerned about before the race at all, or not going to be an issue?
I thought Loris would have more track limits. We had a test race before, and he got like 21 seconds, or no, even 25 seconds in the test race. So I hoped maybe he fucks it in that. Personally, I didn't have any problems. I only got one warning, and that was when I took avoiding action when Pool Diver tried to overtake me on the outside of the chicane.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. Pretty impressive as well. Generally some pretty good racing today, and you did well to make it through. Did you have any negative experiences racing everyone, or was it all positive on your end?
If I would delve into that, it would be being a 30-minute rant about DRS games, honestly. You can play DRS games fair, you know? Being a bit slower, maybe lift for a few seconds. I did that with you, for example, on the strip straight in Vegas, where I lifted for a tiny bit, so I get the DRS on the last lap. But yeah, forcefully slowing down like 30 kph more than you should have, it's just stupid. And that was clearly a Ferrari doing that today. And Loris, of course, reacted to that because he wanted the DRS. It's just annoying. I know DRS is so powerful here, but you have to still race, you know? It's not like you cannot just basically brake on the straight, because that could also lead to difficult situations. I think perhaps even because of all those shenanigans, it got even in the 1 second with me again. In the end.
Yeah, he did close in quite a bit towards the end of the race because of all the chaos going on. But I think whether that's or whether that's an issue or anything like that, then that's going to be something that's looked into after the race. And I think for your part, you've done everything that you needed to do and got a solid result across the line nonetheless. So good job with that. Sbinotto, is there anything you want to ask?
No, I think everything are covered.
All right. Well, with that said, I suppose again, last thing, Phil, how are you feeling about next week's race in Shanghai?
China number one. China number one. China number one.
I had a feeling you might say that.
No, the track generally is fun. I already had a league race in a German league, which went fairly decent. I don't know if it's podium territory. It depends on how fast Pool Diver is and if he gets screwed again by the AI with his starting tires. But anyway, I still hope for the top 5 as always. That's the goal I always want to achieve, and I think I still have a pretty good chance.
All right. Well, it's good to hear, and yeah, thank you for the interview, and good luck with next week's race.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye. All right. Moving on then to not third place, since Loris is occupied with other important business at Tilted Towers. Let's move on to our fourth place finisher, perhaps, with what I would have to say is a very strong result by his standards. So, Bernardo, you can take this one away.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome.
Hello.
Well, very good race by you, perhaps. Usually, we don't see you this high up, but you've managed, and you've absolutely drove the hell out of that Sauber for these 29 laps.
Yes, it was. I got a pretty okay qualifying for once. You know, I wasn't 10th for once. Then got a really good start. I got like 2 positions in the start. I don't really know what happened. People like crashed in front of me, and I got up to like 4th, and I basically just stayed there the entire time. I was able to like keep up with the front runners for quite a while. Then the safety car came out, at the point where I was starting to lose time. So I got like a really lucky safety car, which went very well for me. And then, it was just a lot of trying to get past. There's not that many overtaking points here, so it's kind of hard, especially when there's like 3 cars side by side basically constantly.
Yeah. How did you feel going toe to toe with Elias for like half of the race?
I was just like, fucking finally, I get to hold him up for for a bit. It was pretty great.
Yeah, and also by our teammate, I think were you in a voice chat with him? How do you feel about trains this race? Obviously, it wasn't that good. Obviously, by his standards, he qualified. Did he qualify ahead of you? I don't know. I can't really remember. But
I don't think so, actually.
yeah, and so you
It was
outperformed.
not a very good race for him.
Yeah.
I was not in a voice chat with him. I think I've spoken to him twice. So we're not very, very close. I mean, the interactions I've had with him, he seems like a cool guy, but
Fair enough. And what do you think about China, which is going to be the next race?
Oh hell no. Not my strongest track at all. I'm probably gonna be like 13th that time.
Do you feel like any moves will get made by you into turn 1? That swiveling corner that is turn 1.
Maybe into the barriers, but it's hard to say. I don't think I've driven China once this game. Last time I drove China was like, what was the last game it was in, like 2020?
I've been in all of the games.
Oh,
Has it?
what?
I
Oh,
don't drive it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the last time I remember driving.
Yeah, me too. To be honest.
It's been a bit.
Yeah. But you have a week to prepare, so I guess we will see your best form in China. I hope you'll
Probably not though. This was pretty much peak, to be honest.
there's nothing wrong in believing, okay, perhaps. Yeah, you have to believe that you're going to be near the top 5.
Yeah, yes, I will.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yep.
Exactly. So keep your head up high. You have a week to prepare. And Koolest, you have anything to add?
No, not really. I think you got around to everything. So I'll just say, yeah, very well done with your race today. It's nice to see you making your yearly appearance up at the front of the field. So yeah,
Thank you. This was the one time I will be there. It's always Australia for some reason. Yeah, but
or Spa.
that's
that
the
wasn't
one
to be
time
this
I'll
year,
be
though.
there. Or Spa, but okay, even Spa. The last time I was on the podium, that was absolute. I crossed the line 7th. Like,
yeah, that race
it was a shit show.
That race was something quite chaotic, so a little bit unrepresentative.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, very well done today, and best of luck with the gaping amounts of tire wear that you will face this time next week.
Oh God. All right.
Good luck.
You guys have a great time. See ya.
Yep.
All right. Moving on down the order. Now we get to the point where I start to forget the order. I think next, P5 would have been Kiesiel. He is not there. P6 would have been Alldiver. Also not there.
Probably going to be Zoxen and then Aero.
Yes, Zoxen in P8. Well, Aero ended up down in P11, I believe, after the penalties. So, yeah, we'll get Zoxen in next, and we will go from there. So, get him in. Mr. Zoxen, hello.
Yes, hi.
Welcome in. Well, welcome from a very eventful race for just about everybody in the field, apart from a couple of guys towards the back. But yeah, I mean, I think P7 for you. It was a reasonably strong qualifying in P9 and then only went forwards in the race. I think you've got to be pretty pleased with that now. So yeah, how are you feeling after that?
I mean, qualifying was okay. As always, second run did not work. So it was the first run in which I did my lap. So yeah, P9 could have been more, but in that case, it it was a great start into the race with Pull Davis disconnect and Arrow who spun out, and my mission was always to stay into the train, and which was always there in the lead train, and after the safety car also went pretty well with the new hearts. Well, until I had one small issue going off turn 3, and with Reese coming overtaking me, and then slightly brake testing me in turn 6. That was the scene in which I lost in which I sadly lost the train to the front. So apart from that, and also the fact that I nearly went to 6 seconds of penalties. I mean, P7 I can be pretty happy about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw a little bit of your fighting. I think you had some battles with Aero as well a little bit earlier on in the race. But
yes,
yeah, I think there's quite a few. I mean, to be fair, you're also fighting Aero towards the end. It was just that he had the penalties that dropped him down the order. So yeah, speaking of those battles, how was the wheel to wheel race for you today? Was it all good, or was there any issues aside from what you already mentioned with Reese?
The battles with Arrow was always clean, so I give props to him. And with Reese, it was just that one single. I only think of some parts like the one in turn 6, which was not that okay from him. But apart from that, it was actually quite good. Also with Zach towards the end, it was quite good racing.
Good. That is what we like to hear. So yeah, pleased about that. I mean, is there anything that you think you could have done differently today, or any way that you think you could have improved your performance?
Well, as you can see, when I didn't make the mistake at turn 3, would have still been in the lead train. So maybe could have gone some more places. I would have been if I would have trust myself a bit more. And apart from that, I think it's fine. Could have been more, but it's an okay result.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that's pretty much all of the questions from me. Sbinotto, you got anything to ask?
No. Fine.
All right. Well,
Covered.
yeah. The last thing I'll ask is, how are you feeling about next week's race in China, Zaxxon?
Shanghai. I love Shanghai. I'm really looking forward to this, and with no other race on Friday, I can really concentrate on this one. Yeah. I love this track. Let's see how it breaks for me.
All right. Well, that's what we like to hear, and I wish you the best of luck with that. Maybe you can go one better and get yourself into the top 6 for next week's race. So yeah, good luck with that. Good job on the result today, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Well, Sbinotto, you did mention that you might have to go at some point. So, would you want to get Arrow in first before we go, or are you able to keep going?
Yeah, sure.
All
We'll
right.
get Arrow in and then have to go.
All right. Well, let's do exactly that then. So, yeah, second of the Ferrari drivers, racing pretty much all around the pack this race, but ending up outside the points. Let's see how he's feeling. Arrow, hello.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh. So, it was certainly a race of ups and downs. In your case, more downs than ups. Of course, the deciding factor in your race was this incident that ultimately brought out the safety car, which is you crashing into the pit wall. Can you run us through what happened there? Because we didn't really see it on stream.
Yeah, I think I'll post the clip after, but in essence I was just following perhaps Elias and someone else. Yeah, and then they were kind of battling and then colliding a little bit, and basically they slowed down massively while colliding. So I lightly tapped one of them, and then I was like worrying about, you know, if I had damage coming into the pits, because I was planning to pit the slap anyway.
Yep.
And then yeah, I just came in with too much speed. I wasn't really focusing on. There was too much going on, and then yeah, I kind of spun and broke my front wing, so I had to replace it. And it's kind of strange that it caused the safety car and not like the 3 cars, you know, just crashing on the track. So I don't know, but yeah, that was it basically.
Yeah, we asked the same question to Elias just like a few minutes earlier. How do you feel the level of racecraft is around the field, especially in your race? The racecraft was some cause of concern because you were missing a right front wing end plate by the end of the race. So what happened there?
So I'll try to say as little as I can, because otherwise I'm in big trouble. But the field is alright. I don't have much to say about the field. It's one specific individual that this race was impossible to race with. So I mean, I've reviewed all the clips. I've watched them. I've shown other people. There is one instance where I squeezed one of those guys a little bit, which caused nothing at the end, and that was it. The other times, there's been at least 6 or 7 collisions with me. 2 of them took me out. One of them gave me that damage that you described. So, of course, I had mistakes in my race, but others were inflicted to me, and I couldn't do anything about this because I tried to race as safe as I could. I raced as well both Reese and Zoc, and I had no issues with them. I asked Zoc, and I was a little too aggressive in turn 11. But that was it. Of course, I gave him space, all the space he needed. But it's just with one specific individual that it's just impossible to race with. So I don't know. I don't have much to add. The level of the field is alright. Don't have anything to complain. It's just, yeah, sometimes there's those bad actors that just, yeah, kind of ruin the racing experience.
And do you think your spirits will be as high as they were today in China, which is next week? The title decider.
Yeah, it is the title decider. I mean, I'm gonna try and be like as absent from that fight as I can. Like if I can help my teammate, I will. But I'm his teammate after all, so I have to do that. But I mean, I don't know. It's not a track I particularly enjoy, but of course I'll practice as much as I can, and I'll try my best as I did for this race. I tried my best, wasn't enough. Some obstacles in the way, but yeah, we both. Next race will hopefully be better.
Koolest, you got anything to add?
No, not really. I just excuse me. I can pass on that at least one or two of the other drivers, including Zaxon, mentioned that your racecraft was perfectly fine. So I guess there's props to you on keeping things clean despite the adversity from coming your way from some of the other drivers in the field. And yeah, I suppose how did you feel about the raw pace? Actually, would be a good thing to ask.
My raw pace, from what I saw on track, and that's something that did not manifest in quali, because I fucked up quali massively, and Elias as well. I think was pretty good. I'd say top 5 pace, potentially top 4, but of course I couldn't really show it because of everything that happened.
All right. Well, let's wait and see if you're able to make amends for that next week in Shanghai. But yeah, it's nothing else to ask from me. So unless there's anything else to add from your side, then I'll say congrats on at least surviving this race, and commiserations on unfortunately not really being able to do a whole lot more than that. So yeah, good luck for next week.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. See you guys next week.
All right. Well, see you guys next week is what I'll also be saying, because I have to go. So thank you, Koolest, for organizing the stream. Thank you for being alongside me,
Yes.
and thank you guys for watching.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for joining in. We'll see you whenever we see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll bring it home from here then, for however long is left, and we can move on to now, getting to who would have been our P8 finisher, I believe would have been Reese. He is not in the VC, so we'll skip down to P9, which would be Zek, who is also not in the VC, it's a shame. And P10, who was P10? I'll have to check that. I believe that would be the second Mercedes of Porky Lima. He is also not in the VC. I think the only two people left are going to be... Actually, no, we have a couple of people left. Next up is going to be Igzys. So let's get him in. Igzys, so... Welcome in. Welcome back to your commentary booth, or commentary basement, as you usually like to call it. This time on the other side of the interview questions, and after a little bit of what seemed like a tricky race for you today, how are you feeling after your first foray back into LRC racing?
Honestly, I am thrilled. I am thrilled that I didn't crash, and I am thrilled that I am the fastest driver on the grid because I've got the fastest lap of the race.
Wow,
And
very good.
I couldn't be more happier with that comeback.
I mean,
Uh,
can't
yeah,
ask for much more than that.
the happiest 12. That's the happiest P12 of my life, to be fair, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you're not expecting too much, then P12 and a fastest lap, making it to the checkered flag, is a pretty reasonable return for you. But yeah, I mean, talking about the race a little bit more, you were quite a ways away from the back of the pack by the time we got to the checkered flag. So, how was the wheel to wheel race in action for you today, and what caused you to drop away?
Honestly, I wasted all my chances. I had quite a few. Like on the start, I was a bit too cautious. I could have maybe went a bit more aggressive and maybe tried to defend. But yeah, I decided to do the responsible thing and I backed off. I let the Haas overtake me, and yeah, I plummeted down into probably like second to last place. Yeah, and then it was just kind of a recovery drive, which didn't really go well because I had a bit of oopsies and half spins. And yeah, I ended up somewhere I think in P12 before the safety car. I think I was battling with Trimmershave, who had like a broken front wing. So yeah, the pace wasn't great. And yeah, after at the restart, I did probably the most horrible restart of my life, and yeah, I lost I think like 1.5 to Arrow, who was in front of me. So that basically kind of sealed my fate. Uh, and yeah, from then on it was just downward direction. Uh, I had like I don't know how to say it, like a resurgence of pace, and I don't know what I'm saying anymore, bro.
Yeah,
The kind of
tired after a long day of racing. That's understandable.
yeah, some pace then came back. I was fighting for maybe even P9, but I kind of did a goofy mistake in turn one, and yeah, I wasted my chances. So yeah, it happens.
Yeah, well, it's yeah, it's a shame, but I think for your first race back in quite some time, you can't be too upset with your performance there, and
No, I mean,
well, I suppose
girls fast stuff.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I suppose next question is, will you be racing next week, or you're just looking to come back to the commentary box?
I don't know. It depends on who will be available, like for the commentary. If you guys want to commentate again, I can race. But if you guys don't want to commentate, then I can I will commentate, I guess.
All right. Well, that's yeah, inconclusive then. We'll have to play it by ear and wait and see. I'm not entirely sure how it's gonna go. So yeah,
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
yeah.
Later.
In any case, if this is your one and only appearance of the season, at least you know that you are officially the fastest driver in LRC. So congratulations on earning yourself that honor, and yeah, good luck for any future races that you might find yourself involved in.
Thank you very much. You too, man.
Yeah, all right.
You too.
I'll see you around.
Yeah, I'll see you around. Good.
Yeah, a little bit early on the on the release there. I apologize, but yeah, there we go. That rounds off all of the interviews for today. As Sol and Trimashave have politely replied no to my query of whether they would like to have a chat. Entirely reasonable, considering I don't believe either of them made it to the checkered flag. So yeah, that's I'll leave them to mourn the time wasted in peace. Any time spent on F124 is certainly time wasted, in my opinion. But anyway, we do still have some clips for stream to get into before we are done here. So yeah, let's dive right into it now, starting things off with, it's going to be one from Philip Malone on the first lap of the race. Let's see, does the clip screen work? This has not been tested at all. Here we go. Yes, it does. Very good stuff. All right. Let's take a look at what Phil has for us. Let's take a look at what Phil has in store for us here then. Hold on, let me make sure the audio is not deafeningly loud. I don't. Yep, there we go. Okay. So heading into turn 1 here, Phil makes a very nice start to get from 6th up to 4th. And that might be everything. No, we've got Aero having a look at the inside here. Ah, yes. So we had the altercation between these two at turn 4 on the first lap here, where Phil just gets some understeer, drives Aero a little bit off the track, but doesn't gain any kind of advantage. I mean, I don't think either of them did. All fair in love and war there. So yeah, it's a nice tidy start from Phil, up 1 place in the end, and yeah, the beginning of many a battle, I believe. Sort that out. Okay, there we go. Hopefully now I should be able to hear the audio without it cutting out. So moving on to the next clip. Let's have a look. What does Phil have in store for us here? It's also going to be coming through turns 3 and 4. This is on lap 2 of the race, and oh! Yeah, I think Phil's reaction says it all there, honestly. I'll turn up the sound so you can hear it a little bit clearer. Yeah, with Kiesiel making contact with Aero there, I believe that would be one of the drivers Aero was referencing, to put it one way. But yeah, Kiesiel just a little bit of understeer, and it's contact from Elias that initially triggers the slide and snap of oversteer for Kiesiel that then corrects into Aero, who's just really the innocent bystander in that action. And well, things would only go from bad to worse for the Portuguese driver, as we know from there. So yeah, let's see if we are gonna come across any of that later on. Oh my god. Thank you, Trains. I no longer have any ears. Let's take a look at Trains' clip, see if the deafening was actually worth it in all of the beautiful prime toaster quality. Oh wow, and this is going to be the incident that happened on the straight then. And that is what ruined Sol's race there, and, well, looks like it ruined Trains' race as well, via a 10-second penalty and a bit of wing damage. So, yeah, this is what we weren't able to catch because of the, well, pretty much constant fighting up at the front. We could actually watch that. That would be nice. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is, well, let's see. Was it on the curb that he loses it? It is, yeah. Just trying to turn on the curb. I've done the same thing. Trains, being another controller driver, I know exactly the pain. You open up the steering a little bit too early, and then have to try to continue to turn, but then you end up on the curb, and yeah, all just goes wrong from there. Another one from Trains. This one's going to be at turn 16. You can see Thresh retiring on the bottom of the screen there, unfortunately, due to the much maligned disconnection issues, as I think Trains seems to have a little bit of disconnect with his rear end there, given the great lack of traction coming through turn 12. Take another look at that. Again, it's on the curb, just turning a little bit on the curb. I mean, they should not be that slippery. But that does seem to be what's caught the Sauber driver out twice there. And yeah, if there was any hope of trains continuing on in the race and getting a good result, those hopes were pretty thoroughly and swiftly dashed by that second incident. Next up, we will have another clip from one Phil Malone. If I could stop getting message, that would be great. And this one's going to be from lap 4 of the race, with Loris getting all kinds of out of shape coming out of turn 14, and Phil very smartly boxing him in behind Elias, and then making the move on Elias himself. I believe this one took a little bit of workshopping on the way down to turn 3, and a little bit of battery deployment as well, but yeah, gets him cleared, and is able to fend from Loris, who has a little luck, but I think he's mainly just busy dealing with Elias. So yeah, very nice, tidy, classic Phil Malone DRS overtake, with a corner involved as well for good measure. Nicely done by Phil. Moving on to the next one. Phil's saying no sound on the clips. Phil, I don't know why. There should be sound on the clip. Let's see if we can fix that. Hold on. What do we have next? Where even were we? There we are. Okay. Next one's going to be from Zuxon. God. Can actually play it. There we go. Let's see if we can actually have some sound this time. No, we can't. Okay. That's something else. Hold on. Let me try doing that. There we go. Okay. My apologies for that minor inconvenience. On board with Zuxon now into turn 1 on lap 1 here, and yeah, everything getting chaotic as it usually does around him, but Zuxon dealt with that quite well. Do it again, just to be sure. I think the main point of focus is Pool Diver, or Pool Diver's AI, just deciding that it did not want to leave the grid in any timely manner, and yeah, just completely ruining the Dutchman's race before it even really had a chance to start. So yeah. Nicely dealt with by Zox on the first lap. Moving on next to, would you look at that? Zoxon. This one's going to be from lap 2. And that is going to be Aero, slithering around in the runner after being contacted by Kiesiel.
You did?
And Zoxon
Aero did
capitalizes into
mistake.
P7. Yeah, just nice clean clean pass there, just really highlighting the misery of Aero more than anything else. And now looking to another throw, if we can find the right scene. We have Phil once again. Two Germans really running the show here in the clips for stream section. And this is going to be Elias side by side with Loris, and Loris side by side with Phil, and Phil really losing touch with his rear end there. Some Heritage F124 rear lock-in at turn 11. Oh. What? Okay. Well, that's interesting. So there's no yellow flag there. Kiesiel is just, maybe he felt bad. Maybe he had a stuck brake pedal. I'm not sure, but in the mirrors you can see. Well, you might not be able to see through the pixelation of the stream, but you might just be able to make out vaguely Kiesiel then smacking into the side of the hats and compromising himself even further. So there was quite a few curious moments from Kiesiel in this race, and I think this has to go up there as one of the most bizarre. Not really any clue what was going on there. Now moving on to, well, I suspect another Kiesiel moment here, this time from the POV of Aero. Excuse me. And this is going to be the his POV of the turn 4 lap 2 incident. First the contact with Elias, second the contact with Kiesiel, and yeah, Aero just Aero really getting the worst of it there. You hate to see it. Now on to, surprise surprise, Phil Malone, and he's going to be highlighting the one of the 3 wide moments. There may have been 2. Actually, they never even got fully 3 wide, so never mind. But yeah, some great action up the front of the field, and Loris actually desynced that was what it was. I thought he'd made a mistake on the exit of turn 2, but no, it was just some desync, and yeah, Phil capitalising on that to get himself back into the lead of the race. So, nicely done by him. And back to Phil. This is going to be lap 19 now, so skipping ahead 11 laps.
Oh my god,
And, oh
what
wow,
is his problem?
I think
Jesus.
that was contact from behind, from Paul Diver, I would assume.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
god, what is his
substantial
problem?
backshots from the
Jesus.
McLaren there. Phil actually dealt with that reasonably well, given the circumstances, didn't spin the tyres up or anything, so yeah, good job by him, but yeah, a little bit of a mistake there by Kiesel. I think that was something that we did catch on the stream, and in fact, if I remember correctly, that contact might have been triggered by some further contact from perhaps missing his braking point. So I won't be in any rush to apportion blame there, but in any case, not ideal for Phil. But anyway, he perseveres on all the way on to lap 28 now, and yeah, you can hear Phil's complaints there for Elias backing off in a straight line because he was so desperate to be behind going into the final lap. But as we were saying at the time, he was desperate to be in second, but what he definitely didn't want was to be in third. And well, Phil was continually applying the pressure, even if he was also not best pleased with the goings on. And then there, they did get 3 wide once again into turn 1, and wow, Loris actually kept it in even longer than I thought. Elias gets around the outside, and then this is where the race is really lost for these two, and it's one for Elias because Phil does not commit to the move on the inside, and then it's going to get a nasty tap there from Loris going into turn 4, which is going to cost Phil probably a couple of tenths there, and that gives Elias all of the invitation he needs to start pulling away. And then into turn 6, Phil gets a little bit in the grass there, but yeah, I think by that stage the damage was already done. Elias had enough battery that from over 5 tenths clear he was never going to be in too much danger, and just goes on to bring it home. So nice job by him. Next up, another clip from Aero. I can change the scene. There we go. This is going to be from lap 6 of the race. See if this one finds a way to entail Kiesel as well. Aero going a bit deep there into turn 9. Hooves it up nicely with the apparent lack of track limits at turn 10 that I did notice over the course of the race, and yeah, there's just massive concertina effect there as everybody checks up as a result of Phil's rear locking that we already saw earlier on, and yeah, Aero, innocent bystander, but unfortunately was forced to cede a position to Zuxon there. Speaking of whom, we will now take a look at another clip from the man himself. Oh my god.
Porgy, what are you doing?
Absolute chaos at turn 3 there.
What are you doing? What happened?
Wow.
Train spun on the.
Porgy, what are you doing?
Train spun on the straight.
There's some peak terrorist move there from Pokey Lima, but thankfully that didn't seem to cause anyone too much strife beyond himself. So yeah, there's a crisis averted in that scenario. And now back to Aero. This one from lap 9. Oh my god, that's a massive rear locking from Elias, and then noob.
You break your way.
Yep.
Oh my god.
That is yeah, that's honestly quite unfortunate. I think we can just enjoy this one.
Doc Marius, what is
Your
he doing?
sound. Yeah. Doesn't get any better, does it? Next up, another one from Zuxon. My god, we're going to be here all night. I suppose it's the mark of an entertaining race when we have this many clips. And this is going to be Zuxon's POV of exactly what we just saw.
Arrow's going in. Oh,
Boom.
touch the wall, I guess. Full safety car.
What?
Tremor is absolutely stunned. The world's biggest proponent of nothing ever happens has just witnessed something happen for the first time in his life. He cannot believe what he has just witnessed. That is, yeah. Baby eat food for first time. next up, Zuxon again. Into turn 3, a little bit of PTSD there. Seems to have been plaguing his ex, actually. A bit of contact there from Reese, and yeah, I think this is the moment that Zuxon was describing that caused him to drop away from that front DRS train. And then Reese, oh wow, incredibly slow through turn 6, so yeah, from then on, those guys you can see in the top left, 1.5 seconds out of the window, and yeah, that was pretty much not a race ruiner by any means, but a race limiter for sure for Zuxon and everyone else in that battle. Okay, so that's a pretty cool clip from Saul. I'll play this one. This has cultural significance, so yeah, let's take a look at what Saul has for us.
About Ben in German.
Ben?
Yes.
No. Yeah.
No.
Hey, why you fucking throw that at me, stupid ass?
What the fuck am I watching?
Dumb.
So that's pretty great. I'm really pleased that we got to highlight such a critical moment in LRC history. Okay, you're not getting to those clips, so yeah, that is going to be it finally for the clips for stream section. And that is going to be us rounded off for all of today's action, and yeah, plenty of action there was. Do I have this scene set up? Yes, I do. Thank God. Yeah, that is everything done here today. Soul is not pleased. Okay, you know what? Fine. One more clip from Soul. I've no places.
Fuck you, man.
Fuck out.
Fuck you. Oh, you wanna go off the ledge?
Oh.
You wanna go off
You wanna go? You wanna go?
You wanna go?
So I think those guys are noobs. Anyway, thanks for watching the stream today, guys. It was a very fun one to commentate over. Plenty of good action, and yeah, some. Well, I have to say honestly, that is the first time in must be about 10 months by now that I have actually enjoyed F1 24 in any capacity whatsoever. So yeah, really, really great stuff there, and yeah. Can't wait to come back at some point, probably in the future, or maybe never again. Who knows? No clue, really. But yeah, for real though, pretty great race in terms of entertainment. A couple of questions to be raised around some of the driving standards, but I would have to say, for the most part, from my own observations, it was generally pretty clean, and yeah, drivers dealt with the adversity well in the majority of cases. So yeah, very good race here today. And we will be back at the same time next week, 7 PM GMT, for round number 10 of the championship, and what might just be the title-deciding race in the Drivers' Championship, to see if Elias can get it done for what would be his 5th title in LRC. So you don't want to miss that, or maybe you do if you're an Elias hater, that's entirely understandable, but either way, we will be live right here on Twitch this time next week, and you can join us then for some more beautiful DRS train racing. Thank you all for watching, and good night.